Hey, how's it going? Everybody doing all right tonight? Um, sorry. I've got a bunch of comments now. Hey, everybody's pouring in. Yeah, bored. Well, I was bottling some honey and doing 1-pounders today, so I got a case off the porch and started bottling it. And then it always gets close to the end, and I start getting little bits in there. So I stopped. I restrained everything. I took a bucket back outside, and what I always do when I'm finished extracting and letting it drain, I'll just I always tilt my extractor up a little bit and put a block under the one leg, so anything that's left in there drains down. So I went out there and opened that up and drained the rest of that honey out, and then went to the uncapping tank and did the same thing. So I've just been filtering, straining honey, not filtering. Let me see. And so that's what I had going on today. I don't know why people, my boss knows I don't work on the weekend, yet they still send me messages. That's crazy. So yeah, just been busy with that all day today. So that was on the agenda. Yeah, a bunch of no life beekeepers here for sure. I've already got the link posted. I'm surprised Charlie hadn't already clicked in, or somebody, but yeah, not much really happening. The weather's been crappy. Well, Russell, I had done total out of this pull. My first pull was, I've got 48 pints. Nope, I'm sorry. I did 2 more pints. So 50 pints. And I've got 50 pints, and so far 35 1-pounders. So there he is. I knew he was in the wings waiting. Muted. He's muted. His speaker's off, but he's coming. So right now, not counting what I still have to bottle, I bottled 110 pounds. So I still probably got 20, 30 more 1-pound bottles I can do. So I just can't seem, I'm sick of the way it is right now as far as my honey bottling. When I say that, I mean, I can't get the fines out, the little fine pieces. And if you get that, I've got the little plastic insert that goes in the bucket, but when you start straining it, it plugs up so quick, and then the honey backs up, and then it's too flexible to like pour into another one type of deal. So I'm just trying to figure that out. If I could figure that out, that would be amazing. And I don't even know that even a gravity clarifier would do anything for it, to be honest with you, Charlie.
I don't know.
So I don't know. I'll have to figure something out. The mesh bag would do really good for getting the big chunks out.
Hey, Vincent. You're using, what is it? What type of, you're punching the holes into
I've got the that like plastic bucket insert that's real fine, but it plugs up so quick because only the center part of that is a mesh filter, right? So once you get the big pieces out of it, then it's the finer pieces that plug it up. So
now what I have is the $40 stainless steel.
I've got that
slider out. Yeah. It's got a coarse and I got a fine.
So right now,
I use, like we were discussing here last time, I use a plane which cuts a sheet of wax off like about the thinness of paper towel. and I don't get them. I get small particles, but not probably as much as you're getting.
Yeah. So, damn, I rinsed it out, or I would show you what I'm talking about. I mean, it's so fine that
Hey,
it's
Jeff.
just blocking it up. So, okay, so I have an expensive well, compared to the other uncappers that aren't automatic, it's an expensive one, right? It's
Yeah, you got the one with a slicing blade. You just have to
but
draw the wax
that's
out.
it. If the comb is not fat, then you've got a whole nother issue.
That's
So,
a problem with all those automatic or semi-automatic machines. That's where I'm at right now. I've been at it for a while, and I've been this year. I said okay, and then past years I put 9 frames in. Yes, I had drawn wax, but they would put brace comb like this way across the combs, and I hated that. So this year I let them fill it up with nectar, and then I pulled a frame out.
mhm.
And I've seen over the weekend here that they are starting to draw a
So
16th to 1/8 of an inch more wax out past the frame.
I've got a bit of an experiment going right now because I had full drawn combs that they had pretty much filled, and some of them they actually started to cap on the corners.
Right.
So
I got that too.
so I pulled one frame out and put it up in a super above it in the middle and spaced out the bottom with 9 to see.
Right. That's
Because
what I
now
do.
they can't really make one thick and one thin, right? I mean, I don't have all my
They're all so wide, and now they have space they can bring it out some.
Mhm.
So I went through my honey hives Saturday, I guess it was, extensively, and found some queenless hives. And I had some, they were, like you say, drawing wax. They needed to be pulled 9. I had pulled enough frames out of multiple supers that I actually was able to make up a another honey super, 9 frame honey super, and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. The locust is done. The cherry's done. The poplar's coming on.
Yeah, I can't say anything is done because it even looks like those and it would be a blessing. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be a blessing. Those those privet that just bloomed, well all the rain knocked everything off, but it's been now I'm starting to see bulbs on it again, like it might bloom again.
Mhm.
I
don't have privet. I don't know what that looks like, but
it's so we'll see if it happens or not, but
normally my flow goes, let's say the 20th of June. Well, used to be the 1st of July. I've had it where, so right now, the way my hives are setting, I went through them today, or yeah, actually I went through them Saturday. I found 4 of them queenless. One of the virgins didn't take. So I had some nukes that had queens that are mediums for my benefit. And I went ahead and papered in a nuke in the brood chamber, put paper. I took all the bees down into the bottom box and the one medium super in the brood chamber, papered it, put that nuke in on top of that, put a paper on top, and then a queen excluder, and then the honey supers above, which had bees in above it too. And
do you have the Pierce plane? That's the one you got, the $200 one, right?
it's
Or did
actually
you buy a Chinese one off of
no, I bought a guy out years ago and it was a Max Ant.
Oh, gotcha. But they're still $200 either way you go.
Yeah, I mean that used to be 150, but now they're 200.
Well,
Hey James,
I'm just wondering if if there's a big difference between the Chinese one and the Pierce. I mean, the knives, because you can get a Chinese one for half the price. But is the Pierce one twice as good is the question.
Well, it's like me and Brian said from Flower Street, you know, I'll buy another one tomorrow from Pierce if it has a heat controller.
Right.
That is the downfall. The Max Ant that I have, the knife is actually copper, or at least it looks like it's copper, and it does quite well. You just have to watch it very closely. If you're going to be a few minutes of doing something, you need to turn it off. There's a switch in the
It'll get
inline.
too hot. What's the optimal temperature for it?
I don't know.
You're just like, this will work. As long as it cuts, you're
Well,
good.
if you watch the honey on there and it starts to caramelize and bubble, it's getting too hot. If it's on there, I don't know, you get it up there to where she's pretty darn hot. I mean, she ain't bubbling yet, but you can when the temperature's just right, it'll slide across there just as like it's grease. You know, it's just easy, nice.
I gotcha. Well,
as far as James wanted to know what the topic is tonight, I don't know.
Just whatever you want it to be. Come on
whatever,
in.
Yeah, we're just sitting here chit chatting. I just got done working on a video.
I've got Mike Connolly's winning honey rustler packed up, ready to go. It'll be in the mail tomorrow. Larimore,
that was fun with Gunline and Tim and Hannah last night.
I ordered that hive butler. It was cheaper. Don Bearden coming through sent me a text. He said it's cheaper over on Hilco's site. And it was $20 cheaper to get it from Hilco with free shipping than it was to get it from Hive Butler or Better Be. So we got that coming. So we'll see how it should be here. I don't know, this week maybe. And then we'll figure out how to get it to you, dear Keith. But you know, it's one of those things that this is just a level of frustration that I have. Last year, I thought with buying the uncapping equipment and the extractor and the bottling tank and the pneumatic valve and the damn automatic bottler and all that would just make everything easy. Now the issue is the actual cleaning of the honey. Now that's my issue. So now it's like it always seems like there's something there's always that bottleneck, right? And so now it's like if I get that,
I don't know. It's like people talk about they have one of these great big uncapping tanks where you can set frames in there and wait for the spinner or the extractor gets done. And maybe I'm not doing it right or something, but I uncap and load the extractor. And when I unstract, there's some guys say, you know, they'll hit it for about 10 minutes and they're done. And mine's
I let mine spin until I'm done uncapping the next set, which is usually about 15 minutes. So it's done, you know, it's done by the time.
Well, I understand that part of it, but I got a Man Lake job. It's got those see-through lids. And I got one of them little LED flashlights, and I set that thing up right on top of it and shine that light right straight down. And I watched how much honey is spinning out, hitting those sidewalls. And I spin it until all I see is like just a little bit of spitting coming out off of those frames to where there's hardly anything coming off of there. And I'm done. And, you know, I mean, for me, I'm doing it by myself and usually in the evenings after work. And if I get started really early, let's say 4 to 4:30 to 5 o'clock in the evening, I'll do 2 loads, and that takes me till about 10 o'clock at night. You know, I got to wash and do all that kind of stuff. And usually my sifter, you can get, I don't know, 18. It's an 18 frame extractor, so I can get about a bucket. I bring the honey up to the bottom of the sieve, so that's around
So
54 pounds.
how
54,
far in advance
55.
are you pulling your frames before you're spinning them out?
I usually let them cap and 80% cap or something like that.
No, I'm saying once you pull the comb off of the colony, the honey off of the colony, how long is it between that time and the time it's hitting your extractor?
Oh, okay.
Is it days or is it
Days?
okay?
Well, what I do is this. I will spin, or I will pull no more boxes than I can get done within the next 2 to 3 days tops. So I'll do, let's say 6 boxes. Let's see, you got
I pull no more than
I might go
that
as
day.
well. No, I'll go between 6 and I'm usually around 8 boxes. 8 boxes. And then that sometimes I can only do one set in the thing
Extractor.
or extractor, or sometimes if I'll do 2. Let's say it's a Saturday, and I got all afternoon and into the evening. I'll pull, I'll probably get at least three runs in the extractor. Now, a lot of people say 3 runs, that all those hours and whatever. And I say, well, it takes so much time to get, it uncapped. And then I sit there and I kind of give it the weight test in my hand, and I distribute around 3 different sections. So if I get if I get 3 heavy ones in a row, then I'll put them, put them on three where the spokes are. And then I just keep spinning that where I, try to balance it out by feel. And sometimes I get really good at it where I can really spin that thing up,
Well,
but you start out slow, and you get it kind of balanced.
Well, the lysin, when you start the lysin, even if you had it on max power, it slowly ramps itself up to full speed.
Yeah.
I find I very rarely run it at full speed. Usually 5 or 6 out of 10. That's about all I run it. But the thing is that I don't pull any more than I'm going to extract that day, because I don't want to leave my boxes in there with no bees and possible hive beetles walking around.
So you have that problem. Yeah. I mean, I that's why I used to pull everything, and you have 30 some boxes sitting there or more. And I'm like, now it's easier on me physically to pull 6 to 8 boxes and then bring it in, and you got to carry it up into my house. It's
Right.
a couple it's 3 or 4 steps up, and put it in the back porch. And room is at a premium in a way, especially now with my honey tank out there.
Oh, mine is too, because I just pulled 361 bottles, that big ass box inside the bottle. And I mean, they look pretty good except for the one. And then once I got to that one, and I'll probably just give a discount on that one, so I don't have to waste a bottle.
What's that? Got sludge in the top of it?
Yeah, I'll show you. Let me go grab it real quick. It'll take me 2 seconds. Well, a little bit longer than 2 seconds.
Well, while he's away, I'm going to go get my popcorn, everybody.
So I'll show you what I'll get. All right, so Charlie left too. You're not supposed to leave at the same time I leave. So this is the bottle just that you're not supposed to leave at the same time I leave.
I had to get the popcorn.
All right, so this is the bottle. This is the bottle that came out just before the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
Then you get this one, which is fine through there, but look at the top.
Take a spoon to it.
The fine wax that's in there.
Spoon it off.
And that's how fine they are, that it plugs up that little fine mesh. But once I get that out, it comes out great, just like that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some air bubbles in there, but not bad.
Now that's coming out of your bottling tank?
Straight out of the bottling tank like that.
So is that in the bottom of the bottling tank or in the top of the bottling as you're getting too low?
This is at the top as I get too low. So,
yeah, well that's normal.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, it's not the fine or the big the thick ones that you can just scoop off, right? It's really, really fine.
Take that saran wrap and put it on there. Well, what I mean with the bottling tank, the secret to that is always keep it full. That's what I've learned with
never
mine.
let it run all the way out.
That's exactly right.
And then you always got sludge on the top.
No, I think for now, until you get your wax, I mean, you have that slicer, which is a V, and you can
which I only used one time last year. After that, I've only been using the roller uncapper.
First thing is get rid of the roller, and then either get a hot knife or get one of them hot planes, and do that until you can get the wax pulled out fatter and all that stuff.
Well, see, that's when I get one like that, Russ. That's what I tell them. That's how you know it's the real stuff, that it came out of my machine and that's not something I bought somewhere, right? It's definitely
either do that or take it off and take a spoon and skim it off.
But then, you know, on the other half, I'm thinking about, well, what if I put honey in this guy's store? That might be unacceptable product. You know what I mean? So charge more for that bottle. That's the special edition.
That goes over big. Natural raw honey. They like that.
So, but you know, overall, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean,
let me look at the bottom. Let me look at the top. Did you weigh that?
I run it right to this lip right there, and it's
is that a 1 pound bottle?
It's a 1 pound squeeze, yeah. And it looks full.
I measure my bottles, every one of them, and keep it within so many tenths of an ounce.
Now, see, I didn't use the little weigh-in thing today for that, so I'm and you know, my fall honey will be a lot darker than that. It'll be the darker, you know, brown color, but
right. Well, I mean, now go back with me. Before my bottling tank, I had a bucket with a what do you call it, a gate on it?
Gate, yeah.
Bottling gate. And I would have the same thing that you're talking about there, that I call it sludge.
Well, the real reason I don't want it is because I don't want it to plug up my pneumatic valve, right? Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. The little bits in there, yeah, they're aggravating. I couldn't put it in a honey show, right, like that, but it's kind of, you remember the old this is going to sound gross. You remember the old urine test when you'd go to take a urine test and they'd have you do what they call the clean catch, where you start peeing and then you got to stop peeing and then you got to fill the urine thing, the urine cup, then you got to stop peeing. You know, you remember? You have to be in healthcare to know what I'm talking about, probably. I bet you Grammy knows what I'm talking about, the clean catch. But that's kind of what this is. So I can start it, and if it looks good, then I can put a bottle under it and do it again. But it's I don't know, maybe that's the OCD in me, to where I just want it to be clean, right? When you go to a store, you don't see that.
Bottom line of it is packaging is everything. Presentation is everything when it comes to a sale. I mean, I have my peeve about that is the air bubbles.
Yeah, so if you you'll
get them little champagne bubbles up there, but you know what? I tell them it's just air bubbles.
Well, but after a couple of days, they'll rise to the top, right? But if you look, I mean, I don't think you can see it on the camera, but if you look really close, there are fine particles floating in that.
It's raw honey. You're trying to get it too clean. Mine does too clean. It's raw slash.
So you're saying embrace the suck and saying, just say,
There's a
that's how you know that it's
there's a person here in Baltimore, and I forget what the product's called. It's honey, but I forget what they call it. I think it's called real raw honey or something like that. I'm not
right.
sure. Well, they got these natural people that they want natural honey or raw honey. And from what I understand, it's being bottled. They are not doing it themselves. All they do is walk out to the mailbox and collect a check. And they distribute it amongst these, what do you call it? Natural food stores. And from what I gather, this is what I've heard. They fill it up with liquid honey. Then the guy goes over here with a spoon and dips in a tank here that's got floating
Bees and everything.
wax and wings and whatever, and throws it in there because it's a pint jar or whatever. And there you are. Oh, that's good stuff, because it's got all that trash in it. It isn't processed honey. So it's a perception. And the only way I know about this is I went to Virginia, this lady, and I said, hey, we stopped by and she'll feed us, give us like a light lunch. And I gave her, a pound or two of my honey for appreciation. And, this is really good stuff, and she said, I got this really raw honey or whatever it's called. And I said, and I'm looking, it's made in Baltimore, and I'm like, and then I asked some people that I know that's been in the honey business for years. Oh yeah, we know him and her. Originally started out, and of course he's passed away, and she's still up and running, but she's got somebody else processing. She's buying honey and put it together.
Well, hey, Steve.
But they got the public fooled. They got the public fooled because it's natural honey. It's got to have trash in it.
Steve caught another swarm with the lure. I got another 1-star review after I got the other one. And let me read this 1-star review for y'all. What it says. Here it is. Bought this February 27th. Traps are out in my yard. 2 of my hives have swarmed. Neither went to the boxes with the spray. I don't know if it's the lure or not. Nothing so far. I'll keep trying and update. But gives a 1-star on the lure because he didn't catch the swarms out of his own yard.
They're not going to go to them boxes if they're in his yard.
I mean,
obviously he doesn't understand the principle of that.
So I'm not even going to argue with it. I mean,
in February, where do they live at? In the deep South?
He bought it in February. I don't know when he actually put it in. Look who we got. We can't talk about him anymore.
You talk about me all you want.
Hey, James. How you doing?
Oh, I'm sore.
You've been working.
Helen and I had a frame-a-thon today. I think we got, I can't even remember. There's got to be
1,500 frames.
2, 4, 6. Yeah, 600 or 700 frames we put together today. So
600 or 700.
Yeah.
So you only got 600 or 700 more to go.
Yeah, I think I still have about 800 or 900 left to do. So
you guys are. So why? I mean, I understand why you would do it because it's a little bit cheaper to buy them unassembled. But when you're doing thousands of them, isn't the time savings worth buying them already assembled?
No, because the freight to get them to me up here would be absolutely astronomical. It would make so you buy the foundation, say $2 a sheet, the frame $2 a sheet. The freight would probably cost me, $2 to $4 a frame. So yeah, it's all about the shipping to get it to where I'm at.
I gotcha. That's probably about the same as it is for me as far as shipping. Shipping driving the price of everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got
and there's one other point too. So if I buy the wooden frames, I hate the plastic ones. I just, they're not for me.
Well, I'm glad you said it the correct way. You said you hate the plastic one.
Right.
I don't like it when they say my bees don't like the plastic ones because I don't think the bees care as much as we do. It's our preference, not the bees' preference, right?
So, yeah, I just don't like the way they warp or they twist and stuff like that. But what else was I going to say? I like to glue my frames. So if you don't glue them and you buy them pre-assembled, they're just stapled. They come apart. So, this way I'm building the frame the way I want it. So,
well, Pierco says they glue and staple theirs. So I don't know, but they're still on the other side of the planet from me. So it doesn't really matter either way on that one. But the heck, I mean, today more rain.
Well, that's one of the good things. So we have a weather alert up here. We are supposed to get like 3 inches of rain over the next 2 or 3 days. So
well, that'll put the fire out.
Well, maybe it's not raining yet. We had a little shower go through, but that's about it. But it's supposed to start in about 2.5, 3 hours. And yes, 90% chance of rain tomorrow, 90% chance of rain on Tuesday. So that may help us a little bit.
I'm expecting after all this rain, knock on wood, not my colonies, but swarms, because it's been raining for a whole week, and then you got to worry about the, all that brood's still been hatching out for a week. Now they're feeling like congested, right?
Yeah. So I am not going to complain about the rain at all. I'm going to throw that out there. Not even a little bit. But my queens are supposed to be doing their mating flights tomorrow and Tuesday.
Well, I did give a little update on the Carney hive yesterday, right? And I did message you about it. So the queen was there. I saw her. Didn't see any eggs yet, but yesterday would have been, I mean, we did it on Friday afternoon, right? So it'd have been Friday to Saturday, so 7 days.
Yep.
So sometime this week, probably we'll start laying.
Was her abdomen swelling up at all?
Yeah. She was definitely looking the part. So
perfect.
So we'll see what happens with it. Then I got the speaker swarm. It's doing pretty good. The disco ladies, my dancing girls.
Raining days are for building frames. Yeah, actually, raining days are going to be for building bee escapes. That's the next thing on my list.
Oh man.
You
should just bought a lumber yard. It'd been cheaper.
Well, if only I knew somebody that had a lumber yard.
Oh, that guy.
That maybe was closer.
That guy.
But
now you're going to do a bee escape. Are they successful? I mean, I've heard that they're weather dependent and that kind of a thing.
I did 2 different things last year. So I tried the fume board.
That's what I do.
Fume boards. Now I didn't have any honey rustler. I'm going to throw that one out there. I still don't have any honey rustler. Going to throw that one out there.
You don't? You do have a bottle.
No, it's in my suitcase, which is in Jersey.
Oh, see, I took that as you were saying I didn't give you any.
Oh no, it's in my suitcase somewhere between here and Jersey. Anyways, so I do use, like I say, I tried both last year. So I tried the fume boards and I tried the bee escapes. Now, when I put my bee escape on, I put my bee escapes on and I left them for, a day and a half, 2 days. Okay. I preferred the bee escapes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but don't you have to take all them supers off and then put the bee escape on and lift all them darn things back on?
And then wait like
well, she does have a hive lifter.
I got this hive lifter that just lifted it right up.
I don't believe it. If
somebody else put
if you haven't done a video on it, it hasn't happened.
So I haven't had time. My gosh, man. I have been absolutely flat out. So
Uh,
I have it all done. I don't think people realize how long it takes to actually, cut, edit, and those videos. Like it takes a long time. I got about six waiting in the wind here. So I got the one making my little transporter for my queen cells. I got the one for um, doing my wax dipping tank. I got the hive lifter. I got about four or five other ones that I've made out there regarding grafting and stuff. But
I watched
you
your
know,
Mother's Day thing, and then Bob was talking about your incubator. Is that one of them reptile incubators?
it is, yeah. I just got it off of Amazon. Actually, it works really well. The only downside to it is I don't know if you noticed, I have a little humidity gauge. My bee escapes like Ian's. I think Ian uses the ones
He's got the
um,
cone type.
from Lewis and Sons. So I believe I'm going to make them the same way, but I'm not 100% sure which one Ian's has. So
You're not
Lewis
making the
and
triangle thing.
not making the triangle thing. No, I don't like the Quebec bee escapes. I find they didn't work as well. And the reason being, now the bees go down through them good and they come out good. But the reason I'm making my own bee escapes and the reason I'm making them with the cones is because I make them 3 inches deep. So I give myself 3 inches for the bees, the extra bees to come down through them in underneath. So it almost creates like a large area for the bees in underneath there. So the Lewis and Sons used to make them so that the trough, if you will, with the cones that went out through them, went lengthwise from the front of the hive to the back of the hive. I made mine last year. I turned it 90 degrees, and I think Lewis and Son makes them that way now. So now they go across the bottom of the frame so the bees can come down and they can get out regardless as to what frame they're on. So I think once again, this is just my own personal opinion, is I believe that works a little bit better.
that
Yeah, it goes across the box where they come in.
Correct.
That's how Ian works.
James's extra long uncapping knife is $219 US, 3.5 million Canadian.
Well, I'm a little. I'm going to put a caveat out there. I'm not surprised. Okay, business is business, but I am a little disappointed, being as they did commit to sending me a knife. I actually kind of thought I'd see a knife in the mail by now, but and when I was down there, I did tell them I'd be more than happy to pay for it. And they were like, no, no, we'll send you one, but I might just have to order one. You know, do a
Call them up and say I don't live in New Jersey.
well, if that's where they're at, maybe they could put it in my suitcase. I don't know.
So they
But
do have an uncapping knife with the controller, right? But they don't have. You're saying they don't have the
Plain.
the plane. I got you.
well, the plane is steam driven, correct?
No, he's got electric plane, but it doesn't have the rheostat on it or the
Oh,
variable controller on it.
who's Charlie's got an
Me,
electric
yeah.
plane? Oh, okay.
I got a Max Amp plane. I bought a guy out when I first started.
Oh, you got
And
that
yeah.
hand plane, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got her. I was thinking like the one that Bob's got there. That's steam driven knives, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm a little disappointed in that product. I mean, I like the principle, I like the idea. What I don't like is if they just draw the comb out at a normal depth, it's useless.
Well, do you put 9 frames or 10 in your
Well,
Honey Super?
I was like Charlie, so I started with 10, let them start drawing the comb out, then
Yep.
pull one out
Pull one.
and space them and let them try to fatten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But at that point, there's no taking a comb out and putting a foundation in. It's not going to happen, because what you'll get is you'll get a really fat one and then you'll get a very skinny one, right?
Well, what you're really talking about though is, the same thing I've been fighting last year, and I know you're fighting it this year, Bob, and that's getting that drawn comb, right? That's part of the reason. we always talk about drawn comb being, priceless, and that's part of it. Is if you've got drawn comb, you can drop 9 frames of drawn comb in there. They'll put the honey in there. They'll draw it out a little bit more. They'll cap it off. So it
does a couple things, right? It's faster. They're filling it faster. So you can actually take that box off, spin it, give it back to them, and chances are they'll fill the same box again.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely they will. And I've seen it where, and I'm going to put a little bit of a caveat on here too. I've seen them refill that box faster than they fill a new one. Now, obviously they don't have to draw the wax, but if I put dry comb in there versus the one that I just spun, they seem to fill that one that I just spun much, much quicker. I mean, they'll fill that 9-frame box up here in 7 to 10 days. It's full again, and they're the way they go. So there's something to it.
Charlie likes his planer. As far as I know, he talks highly of it. Other than that, it's not adjustable temperature.
Yeah, I like it. Now, what I don't use it like I've seen it used in some videos. I don't go the length. It's supposed to be designed, I presume, for either a shallow or a medium, and you go the length of the frame. I go across the frame. So I start at the bottom, and I pull it across, and I'll cut 4 slices, maybe 5. The reason I do that is because I don't have the fat comb. And a lot of times that comb has a divot in it. It's like it's going around and it goes down like that and goes out. Well, if you go across the width of the frame, you can go down that divot and cut it off. Cut the top or the cappings off, and it'll work just fine. So something that I just do. I think I got a video showing that myself. I think I did that last year.
Here's something I got to look for tonight.
What is that?
These are the caps. So what does this one say? This says it's a cap plug WW21. And this is a WW, I don't know. I'll have to get my glasses. Getting old sucks.
What size is it?
Well, I don't know. It says WW21. I don't have a tape measure on it.
Go to Amazon.
And I think this is a WW.
It's either Amazon. It's a
16.
You should be. You're in the maintenance department. You're. That's a.
I'm pretty sure this is 1.5 inches, and I'm pretty sure this is 1 inch, but I don't have a tape on me.
Yeah, but isn't that doesn't it come in like in the pipes or something like that?
They are. They're cap plugs. Yeah. So, that's designed to go over top of a thread or inside of a pipe. But I just got to find them cheaper than buying them at the bee store. They're, they probably pay like 4 or 5 cents for each one of these things. And when you buy them from the bee store, not that I don't want to support the bee store. I mean, I support them as much as I can, but I mean, I'm looking for 500 of each. So, marking them up, $1 or $2. If I'm only buying a few, great. But when I'm,
Russell wants to know how thin of a strip of comb does the planer take off? It's about the capping is about the thickness of a paper towel, and it comes off like a sheet because that capping plane, it's got like a little steel basket, and the cutter cuts it, and the capping actually kind of rolls up inside that little basket. Then I pull it across, and I just dump it and all that.
Those 1.5 inch yellow plugs at Peerco are 94 cents. I think Larimore said they're 50 cents at Man Lake. But that's still probably high.
Go to Amazon.
Yeah, the number that's on them. So it just says cap plug, CAPPLUGS, WW21.
1.5 inch cap plug.
And this one here, I'll go get my glasses. Bear with me. Like I said, getting old sucks.
You start searching plugs online, man. There's a bunch of them.
There. Do I look more sophisticated?
You look older.
Thank you, Bob.
Let's see. I don't see them on. There's all kinds of
16, and there's a little mark afterwards. So here's a little trick for all those that are getting older out there.
Take a picture with your phone and zoom it in.
And then you can blow it up, right? Cap plugs WW16X.
Cap plugs.
Yep, WW16X. And this one here is a WW21.
It's 16. Let's see. 16 times 1, 16 times.
Here they are.
There's actually a capplugs.com. I wonder if that's where it's at.
Well, that's probably a good place to start, right?
It's a plastic. It's a tapered plug, isn't it?
It is a taper plug, correct?
Okay. Cap plugs, plastic taper cup with a thick flange, WW16X. OD is 1 inch, 354 thousandths.
Yep, that's probably about right.
ID is 1 inch, 516 thousandths. Which that's interesting. Right. It's just a hair over. Yellow pack of 200. That looks right.
Yeah, WW tapered plug. Yeah, that's the exact plug right there.
And what do they want for this one? For 200?
200 of them, 40 cents a piece, $82.66.
WW1, right?
21.
WW21? WW-2X.
No. 16X and 21.
All right, hold on. Let me go down the page here. 16X.
Could I get you guys to send me that webpage?
It's capplugs.com.
Oh, okay, I can remember that. But I'm going to write it down. You know why? Getting old sucks.
WW16X. Let's select the item. That is 1.41 inches. You can do a mini pack, micro pack, or a carton.
I need like 500 of each type thing.
Quantity.
How do you it's WW? What is it, Bob?
All right, so
capplugs.com.
You can go with a carton of 1,000 for $193.70.
Yeah, see, so that works out to 1.9 cents a piece.
And they're selling them for 50 cents.
Yeah. I see something new coming to Bob's website soon. coming soon.
I think that's
the 16X, right? That's the 16X. I don't see a 21X on this page. Let me go back.
Oh, it's just 21, not 21X.
All right, 17. Let me go to the next page. 31210. WW21. Select item. That's a 1.92 inch by 2.048. See if this metric would be easier. A carton of 1,000 costs $158.90.
So $1.50 or 15. No. Yeah, 15 cents a piece. No.
1.5 cents.
1.5 cents per piece. Geez, that's a pretty good markup.
158.90 divided by 1,000. No, you're right. 15 cents.
There we go.
That's still 200% markup.
Exactly.
What's the number? Is it?
WW21.
Yeah, WW. So this is the one that I use for the migratory covers. So this is the hole that we put in the top of the migratory covers. Okay. This is the one the small one is what I use in my buckets, my feeder pails. So I melt the screens right into the center of the feeder pail, and the lid never comes off. This is all I remove from the feeder pail
To fill it.
to fill the feeder pail.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if Alan's on here or not, but Pail Washer version 2.0 is about to come out.
What is it?
We have come up with something to wash out pails. Pail washing is no longer a chore.
Looks like we got a. We'll leave that one fly for now. But so it's exactly 1 month to summer solstice.
Correct.
So this time next month, all of my honey supers will be getting ready to be pulled.
See, I will be. Oh, so you guys have heard me say this lots, right? So 21 days prior to summer solstice, that is all of the workers and everything that I'm going to have in that hive for the hit of our honey flow up here. So basically I got 1 week.
So whatever she lays this week will be it.
Well, for the start, right? So
so here's a question, and I've been bouncing this around. So to go full Canadian with my beekeeping, I would be doing splits after the summer solstice.
You could. So doing splits after the summer solstice isn't necessarily the best time, right? You want to have all your splits and everything done before the solstice.
Well, okay. In your environment, that's the case, right? Because there's not enough time for them to grow.
Correct.
To put them up for the winter.
Correct.
I'm just wondering if I did that here. First of all, I'd have to have queens. So the drone population is going down, right? They're going to start kicking the drones out.
Mm-hmm. So you got lots of hives.
Yep.
So pick one or two, start castling them.
And let them make cells and starts just.
I wouldn't let them make cells. I'd graft. Why would you let them make cells?
Yeah, that's true.
There's nobody special.
Yeah, there's a couple of them there.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald and nobody special.
Well, they're religious. At least it's not a porn site like we've gotten in the past.
Yeah.
So.
I understand what you're doing, and your time frame is different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
So April, May, and June is my honey flow. So we're coming out of winter in March. Now I have to say that yes, the queen starts laying about the second week of February. And she'll lay a small patch and then she gets bigger.
Yeah.
So let's see. What I'm getting at is like, okay, I started like my first video was like the 25th, 26th of March. I'm putting my hives into a single brood chamber management configuration. And I am equalizing kind of like as I am going through the honey season. So Is it because I'm in a different environment? Is why I have to do what I have to do versus what you're doing?
Oh, very well, very much possible. Yeah. So very,
I mean,
very, very possible.
I love to be able to not have to go into the brew chamber, just stack supers on and be done.
Yeah.
Well, my
Like
thought was,
our bees, for example. So I was out yesterday with our 4-H club. I think I sent you that picture, didn't I,
yep,
Bob? So
I've got
you
it on
should
my
bring
phone.
that. You should bring that. Should put that picture up here because man, this is the
It
great bunch of kids I
looked like a
got.
bunch of clowny kids.
It looked like a perfect picture for in a magazine.
Oh,
All
oh my
right.
God.
You know, and but they went through their 2 hives, so I donated 2 hives to them, and they've like keep in mind we've just got the poplar and the dandelion is about all we've got out there. I mean, right around town, some of the fruit trees and stuff are blooming, but nothing out by the apiary. And between their 2 hives, they probably got about 10 frames of well, 8 to 10 frames of honey that's starting to get capped already. So they're going to do very, very well.
I'm sending it to myself so I can pull it up on the big screen here. Possibly. There we go.
But yeah, they're catching on quick. I mean, like I say, great bunch of kids, and like I say, this picture is like magazine material. Like it's great fun. But to have hives that got their capping honey right now, um, I mean that's awesome. Now I haven't split their hives or anything. Um, I've been providing them drawn comb and stuff like this too, just to help the kids out as much as we can. So
See,
my
you need to
swarm
send
management.
your 4-H club down here for about a week when it's like 95 degrees outside, and we'll run them through the paces. Then this picture will be legit.
There you go.
Legit picture of them sucking wind. Where's the I'm trying to find the image I have popped open here. Window. There we go.
Like, look at that bunch.
Crashed out.
Yo, they're quite the group of kids. Like, I mean, but they have no problem. They dive right into that hive, right?
That's well, I mean, they're very confident in their bee suits. Send them down here, no bee suit. You know, just darkening sunglasses to get zapped, and I'm convinced it's the glasses now that darken.
Well, you know, I was wearing my glasses when I got nailed too, so.
And I took them off. And matter of fact, you took yours off and hung them in your shirt.
Yeah.
And no stings after that.
Nope, thank goodness.
And I had one flying around me yesterday. First thing I did was take my glasses off and hung them in my shirt.
And away they went.
Took back off again.
There you go. Maybe they're trying to see their reflection in the glasses or something.
Garrison says they have very white bee suits.
Yeah, they do. So,
yeah, why are they? What is it with full bee suits? Why not just a jacket?
No, so that was one of my requirements. So I made that requirement to the students, and the reason being is liability. So you got to remember, this is how far north of MT? 5 hours, 5 hours north. This was one of my requirements that I put out there because if you remember, this is the first 4-H bee club in Alberta and probably Western Canada, from what Canada 4-H is telling us. So lots of concerned parents, and to make it the very best experience I could, I made the requirement that they wear full suits.
Yeah, I can see that in that situation.
So they had to go over to Curtis over there and get size up suit.
Absolutely, yeah. Curtis gave him. He donated some of it, and I think he highly discounted some of the rest. So, you know, once again, I am kind of, and I don't want to diss anybody, but I am kind of quite disappointed in our co-op. They wouldn't do much of anything for them.
You're talking about the honey co-op?
Yeah.
Let me see. I thought I had. Where
Now the company I work for was all for it. They jumped right on board. You know, they provided you know, supplies as well as I think there was a cash donation there too to get them going. So
the get your starter ready in 2 weeks. Start grafting. Go back to grafting. You know what? I did this on the live video I did yesterday when I kind of just did a walkthrough, and I did the healthy split difference between like my starter finisher. Now keep in mind the splits that I made were decent splits, and put them in a 5 frame and then moved them to a 10 frame, right?
mm-hmm.
The starter finisher was in a 6 frame, 6/6. And my splits had a head start because they already had queens that had been grafted,
Mm-hmm.
and then put in a 2 frame nuke, and then added mated queens, right? But the starter finisher colony had so many bees in it, now has 3 supers on it,
Mm-hmm.
where my splits have 1.
Yep.
And that, I mean, that just is a testament to the downward cycle that happens when you make a split until that queen starts ramping up, right?
Correct.
As
So what I'll do
compared-
with what I do with my starter finisher when I'm done with it. Now I use a 10 frame starter finisher. But when I'm done with my starter finisher, the last round of grafts I make, I split that 10 frame box into 3 nukes. So that whole thing goes into one 3-way 6 frame pallet, and it is more than strong enough to make it through the winter. So,
and that's the I mean, it's amazing. So where it's compared to last year, well, not only last year, but the 4 years before last year, that those little splits that I was making didn't have the strength to even make it over my mild winter
right.
here. So that was one of the big questions I was asking James when I started, is why is it that every year I get the 25 colonies and then I'm pulling out 15, 17 after winter, right? And then I build them back up, and then I'm 15, 17 the next winter or next spring when I come out. And then it was just repeating the same cycle. Well, duh, dummy, you're doing the same things every year. You haven't changed your basic philosophy on what you're doing, right?
Right.
And
so when does your flow end down there, Bob?
well, if you look at the NASA site, NASA says that we have a major nectar flow all the way till November.
Oh.
But when I say that, we'll have the major flow that's happening supposedly right now, right? And then it kind of, everything shuts off, and then the goldenrod starts. And the goldenrod starts in July and goes to November. So there's actually a window in there that we have a dearth.
Yeah, but even with July, if it starts in July, I can't see the flow going all the way to November, does it? Probably a couple, 2-3 weeks, maybe in July.
Yeah, but now when it comes to goldenrod up here, yeah, you'll get a lot of pollen out of that goldenrod if it's around, but you're not going to get any nectar. Now,
that's what I
you
say.
get
You probably
nectar.
will get nectar at the beginning, right? And then that'll be about it.
I don't put any faith in that stuff.
Okay.
As far as nectar goes, what
So I
do
was
you
just
get,
gonna
Bob?
say-
Do you actually get a nectar flow out of it?
I do, but you know, I don't pull that. I
wouldn't
could
either.
pull it. but I
wouldn't.
don't pull it. I
Well,
leave it
here's-
till the spring,
Right.
and then I pull it off to give them room.
So, and that's why I was asking. So here's, and I mean, usually Bob and I discuss a lot of this, but I mean, I think a lot of people have been watching, kind of what you're doing there, Bob. So I'm going to throw this out for everybody. The next thing that I would suggest doing, and once again, this is just a suggestion because I don't know your environment down there, right? But I don't rely on honey for my bees for the winter. Now I'm locking mine in. Yours get to get out and go flying and stuff. But what would happen if you treated them as if they couldn't? So after your last flow, when you still have all that bee power, what would happen if you threw a bucket on there and you started feeding them and plugging that hive out now? Right now, your hive's going to need a whole lot more than what mine do because yours fly all winter long, right? They can get out, they can do these cleansing flights. So I guess now that I'm talking about that, the fact that they can get out and do a cleansing flight, honey might be just fine for you,
But sugar water is cheaper than honey is.
Absolutely. And it's better for the bees. That's been scientifically proven.
So,
I'm going to get all sorts of flack for saying that. But so
It
I'll
is.
explain.
It
I'll
doesn't have
explain.
the ash and stuff in it.
Right. I'll explain why. So it doesn't have the ash. It doesn't have the extra enzymes, minerals, um, micro minerals and stuff like that in it. So it's easier on the gut. And once again, that has been scientifically proven. Sucrose sugar, okay, is better for the bees when they're going to be stuck in for a long period of time. And once again, don't take my word for it. Anybody out there, go and read the research. Do the research on it. I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination.
so
But
what I didn't do last year that I will be doing this year, I just don't know the timing of it yet. So, and obviously this was something I saw in Ian's video, and I'm sure you do it and Brad does it and everybody does it. Shake all those bees back down into the single deep. I did not do that last year. I left mediums on with food, but it caused me so much problems in the spring that it really wasted a bunch of my time, and I think it wasted a bunch of my bees' time. And I'm going to say that because the little bastards didn't want to come out of the mediums. They did not want to come out of the medium box. And it didn't matter if I shook them down and put an excluder on or reversed the boxes. I couldn't get that queen and to come out of that medium box. And finally, what I did was I kind of just ended up checkerboarding the medium frames with brood on it in with deep frames and took the whole damn super away from them. So they had no choice. The only frames they had were the deep ones and then the medium ones. So I'll probably go back in there in the medium ones. I have comb on the bottom. I don't care, but because I can cut that off, right? But it was just such a pain in the ass for me.
well, see, for myself, the jury's still out on that because, as you know, I put my bees into the bee barn with a full deep and a medium super on top of it, and I plugged that medium super out, and I put some to bed in a single. So the single ones came through. They still had 2 or 3 frames of food in there, absolutely no problem. However, the ones that had the medium, and I do not know why, because it was just food in that box, but they seem to build up much, much, much quicker. To give you an idea, I've got 4 splits off of the boxes that had the medium box on top, where I have only got 2, and in some cases 3, but mainly 2 out of the single deep. So why is that? I haven't quite put my finger on that one yet.
Now, were they up in that medium when you got them out?
No, they were not. So they had some. I mean, in the center, let's say the center 3 or 4, They may have been up an inch, inch and a half. She may, they were eating that out and she had laid that up. Okay. Now, very early on, I I allowed them to go top and bottom, away you go. So they ate a lot of that food out of there. So I had a bucket on top of them. They didn't take the bucket as quick as what they took what was in the hive. So I haven't put my 2 and 2 together there yet. But they've built up much, much quicker. So the fact that I make a lot of my my cash flow based off of nuke sales, that is very intriguing for me. So,
and see, that's kind of what I'm hoping to do, and that's why goes back to why I was asking, should I get my nukes to the 10 frame stage and then split back to nukes to overwinter?
No.
And so in the spring, that now I have fresh nukes ready to go as soon as spring hits.
No, well, I shouldn't say no. It's completely up to you. But my recommendation to you would be get them all out of those nuke boxes, get them all into 10 frames, right? And get that bee power in there. Build those hives up for winter. You are going to lose bees throughout the winter. That brood nest is going to shrink. The more bees you have in that box, the longer they're going to be able to keep that heat, the longer that brood nest is going to stay, and it'll shrink smaller. You need to get them into 10 frame boxes, and they all need to be in 10 frame boxes before your nectar flow stops.
All right. Well, I've got 3 or 4 that I've gotten double nukes right now that they've been in there for a week. So they probably got that top box drawn out already with the nectar flow going, and be ready to move. But then I'm at the other end of the spectrum to where now the goal was to fill up that equipment, and now I'm getting to the point that goal is happening in my equipment. I'm like, am I going to have enough?
Just fill the equipment you got this year, Bob. You're already past your major portion. Fill that equipment, keep that equipment full, save those nuke boxes, because those nuke boxes you are going to use early next spring, right? You're going to split those big hives into those nuke boxes and get them ready for sale. The other thing it's going to do to get them into those 10 frame boxes is it's going to be easier for you to treat your hives. A mite problem is something you've got. You're going to have to get them in there. You're going to have to treat
I
those
will
things.
say this. So on the colonies that I've popsicle stick twice, the second drop was nothing. There was no drop on the second one.
Why is that though? Is that because the mites are inside the capped cells, or is that because, they had no capped cells initially, right? When you put them in there.
They did have some capped when they came, so I'm sure there's some in there. But the first popsicle stick seemed to wipe out all of the phoretic mites, or the majority of them, as far as I can tell. And the second one, maybe all of the uncapped ones haven't come, so it's time to throw another stick in there this week. And
I would make sure that you kept everything going through at least 1.5 to 2 brood cycles. 40 some, or what did we have? 43 on that one popsicle stick.
It was.
That was in a nuke. So that's 1%.
Dead bees walking.
Yeah, you were probably 40% infestation. Like, you were way the heck up there, right?
But and then we looked at the stick on one that I had been treating, that I treated in the spring, and it had 1 mite. So
it's okay. You can overwinter 5. You absolutely can overwinter in 5 frame, and that's why I'm saying this is just my recommendation, right? You absolutely can overwinter, and if that works for you, don't stop what's working for you. Absolutely don't stop.
All I know is I'm trying to change my entire system that I've been doing, because my entire system, was it working? Technically, yes. I had bees every spring. I didn't get 100% loss. However, I was taking what I considered for me unacceptable losses because I would grow and then I would end up at the same number in the spring. Then I would grow and end up at the same number in the spring. You know, so I'm trying to turn this franchise around. You know, and part of the reason is every year I've had a higher demand for my honey because more people understand where I'm at and what's going on. Hell, today I had the fire department called me to see if I could do a bee removal.
There you go. Perfect.
And I gave them the information. It's in the people that had the bees were Hispanic and spoke very little English. And they asked about a charge. I said, well, I really couldn't give you a number on a charge till I see what's involved with it and where they're at and what's going on. You know, so I never did get a call from the person. So that's probably a nothing. But I mean, the fact that the emergency services start to call you,
that's a good thing.
That's a good sign.
But you know, just to go back to Healthy Honey's comment. So once again, what I suggest on here definitely isn't gospel, and I think I've told Bob that just about every time. You know,
well, that's a CYA move. I told him from the very beginning. Look, I'm grown. If you tell me something, I'll either do it or I won't do it. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not going to hold you accountable for it. But I also would not have asked you had I not trusted your opinion on the situation. Right? So that's the thing. If all my bees died tomorrow, I'm not going to go to James and I might tell him, oh man, all my bees died, but I wouldn't say, James, you're the reason all my bees died. You know,
well, I'd feel bad. I mean, I'm not going to give anybody any advice that I think would give them go backwards. Right.
Right.
And like I say, once again, just because it works for me doesn't necessarily mean it works for everybody else. But if I didn't try new things, or if I didn't try things that people suggested to me, I would never get better, right? What harm is there? In fact, I think these are some of the exact words I told Bob is, what harm is there in trying?
Right. So, I mean, with what we've done, now it's not James S growth, but there's a really I'll call it a significant difference. We don't have the nectar / honey flow that you do. No. So when I say that, that hinders growth in the colony, right? That hinders drawing comb because it's going to be slower because they can only do so much. So I was fighting the resource battle from the beginning. So, you know, when people say, hey, why don't you just keep grafting queens? Because I don't have the drawn comb or the bee power to go out there. If I filled every one of my 2-frame nukes up, it would take 60 frames. It would take 6 entire colonies to fill up.
Yep.
So that's the reason why I haven't done it, because I haven't had the frames to do what I need to do with 10-frame colonies.
Correct.
So I did what I could and what I needed to get started. And we went from 17 to, with the cutout, I'm now back to 59 colonies. So,
and I think they're strong colonies too, correct?
Yep, for the most part, they're strong. You know, there's always going to be that one that's kind of suspect. But you know what? I had nukes. So, so the nukes, because they're my nukes that I've paid for, if I need to, I take that nuke and drop it in there. Boom. And let it go.
Ziggy's bees. I tried a new thing this year and now I have a new problem.
Hey, you know, it's always a problem. I mean, that's what I was saying with my honey, right? So the honey looks good, but I don't like that at the top. You see the white ring?
You know, why have you got that?
That's very, very fine wax particles.
What?
But that's only like once it gets down. So this one, was this bottle was pulled right before this bottle. And then when that started coming out, I restrained the entire remaining honey that I have, which is
So I
sitting
use
in there.
a 400 micron screen, and I never end up with that.
The one that I'm using is the white plastic thing that you put in a bucket.
Yep.
And those
Oh, but
fines plug it up so much.
Right.
But I'm using that roller dealy do.
Right. But you can get different microns of those filters too.
I
They
think
come in don't they come in a pack of like 3 or 4 different settings?
that one I got 2 of the exact same one for like $10. That's
Right.
the only
But
one they had.
what micron are they?
I want to say they were 200. Whatever. It's small. It's really fine.
So I use a 400 micron filter, and yeah, they plug up. It's a pain in the ass to clean them out, but I never end up with that.
But not only does it plug up, but once it plugs up, then whatever honey's in top of it's not going down.
Yeah,
So
dump it into another filter. Clean your filter, and
You need to get a coarser filter and get rid of the coarse stuff first, and then find it.
well,
You know,
I think you're in the same boat I am, Bob. And
only with a bigger extractor.
well, so
Temporarily.
I haven't purchased anything yet, and
Right.
well, I've got a couple thousand frames out there that I'm probably going to have to spin this year. And
You're going to have to do something.
if I don't get off my butt, I'm going to be doing that with a knife and a 12 frame extractor. But I'm really looking at a clarifier and a pump, right?
Yeah, well,
Now-
see, you've got the honey. You can harvest the honey at one time with your boxes, with the amount of honey that you get to make that clarifier worth it. I don't know if I can, at this point, get enough honey to put the depth in the clarifier
Oh, I see. Yep.
to get the flow. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's just that's what we were talking about before you came on. I said you get the big extractor, you get the uncapping tank, you get the uncapper, but then there's another bottleneck. Now the bottleneck is the filtering.
Well, Alan and I were talking about that as we were hammering frames together today. And I mean, there's a 28 frame Cowan extractor that's for sale on Facebook right now. I think it's 26 grand, right? Cheap. But it's a hand crank extractor, or not extractor, but uncapper. And I'm sitting back thinking, well, dollar wise, it makes sense. It's easy, right? But how many times, I'm going to go back to something Ian told me, you're never going to lose money on an extraction line. And he says, it'll always be in demand. But from everything that everybody has said, I've got something that's too small now. Why would I buy something else that's going to be too small next year? To buy something else that's going to be too small the following year? Why don't I buy what I know that I'm going to need and I buy it once? It's probably, it's harder to swallow that initial,
you can grow into it.
right.
Like my 30 frame that we've had this discussion.
So there's lots been coming my way, but I've been hesitant, and I want to learn from what people are telling me. And if I don't listen to what they're telling me, then you know what? Why ask the question? So I really think, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I know that I'm going to hold off until one of two things. Either A, I buy the one I want, or B, I come across the one I want at a cheaper price than new. I think that's where I'm going to go. So.
And yeah, so that's the same things that I'm going through. Is like, oh, could I buy a clarifier? Yep, but then I got to buy a pump, and then I got to. So I really at that time would have to officially set up a line, right? I would have to go from uncapping to my extractor to the clarifier to get pumped up into my bottling tank.
But if I buy the clarifier and the pump, that goes with my line. When I buy my line, I don't have to buy those two pieces. Does that make sense?
You get it like a package.
Right. I can use them both right now. I can use the clarifier and the pump probably right now. Right. And it's an add-on anyways to the line. The line usually comes with the uncapper, the spinner, and something to hold your frames in between the two of them type thing, right? So here's another question I got for everybody on there, and I told my wife I wasn't going to stay on here long tonight.
Lies.
Pollen. Yeah. No, I won't. I got to go here before long. But pollen. How many people find a market for pollen? And the reason I'm saying that is the issue I'm having right now is there's so much pollen coming in. My bees aren't getting plugged out with nectar. They're getting plugged out with pollen. So I'm kind of thinking, I had the same problem last year. So I'm kind of thinking some pollen traps are probably healthy honey. Just do it, James. Yeah, you're right. It's just hard to swallow that $67,000 bill. So I'm kind of thinking there's some pollen traps in my future for next year. And I was looking at pollen dryers and pollen cleaners and stuff like that too. So, but how many people have found, a market for pollen?
I haven't done pollen myself. I know DC's Bees, he's a pollen guy, but worst case scenario, you could make your own pollen patties with it.
Well, I do. Like I've got 1-2 pollen traps. Up to this point, I've been saving pollen just to feed back to my my starter finisher hive so that they've got fresh pollen at any given time, and I find that helps me with the queens and the quality of queens I get. But
the biggest problem I see with pollen is it laced with pesticides or something like that?
yeah, well, up here nobody's really does any spraying. Like the farmers are just seeding right now. Nothing has come up. Nobody has really sprayed bugger all yet. So, I mean, I think I've got a season up here where I probably could harvest a substantial amount of pollen without jeopardizing my bees and before any of the farmers get to really to spraying anything. So it's
What
it's
do
something
they
I've been thinking about.
what do they plant up there? Do they plant corn?
Not a whole bunch of corn, a lot of canola. So I mean, there's a ton of pollen you're going to get off canola. The pollen that they brought in up till now, a lot of it off the poplar, a lot of it off the dandelions, some of it from the willows. I got red pollen coming in right now. I got to figure out where that's coming from, but it is bright, bright, bright red. It's great to see.
Would it be henbit? I don't know if you have that or not.
I don't think we have that up here, to be honest with you. So, but it's just another market that, it'll, like I said, it'll keep my bees from getting plugged out. It's going to solve a problem I have in the hive.
I've seen it in the ABJ where, we will buy your pollen and all that kind of stuff.
Got her. So.
Let me see. I don't see anybody. I see that people sell it, but I haven't messed with it personally.
They sell it up here for about twice of what they sell honey for. I mean, a pound of pollen goes for, especially in the superstore, and it seemed to disappear pretty quickly. But I mean, it goes for, the same size jar goes for almost twice as much money. And there's not a whole lot of weight to the pollen compared to the honeys. So it's got me thinking.
Another market, and I haven't.
I don't know. I don't do much with pollen. Some people, on a small scale, bottle up a little bottle of it and stuff like that. They, like you say, they dry it. They might dry it in their oven or something like that, something small scale.
Here's somebody selling it on the Book of Faces for $3, but it looks like a small vial. It looks like a vial.
Yeah, like I say, it's you know. Well, Lyson actually makes a pollen cleaner and a pollen dryer. So, you know,
I was trying to see if I saw any extraction equipment on Facebook, but it's all.
Bob Binney sells it, he says. You could always ask him what his take on it. I should give Bob a call maybe.
But does he sell his own, or does he?
Well, I know he was collecting propolis down there. I remember a video that he did there last year. He actually bought those sheets, and he was attempting to sell the propolis. I don't know how that worked out for him, or whether he continued with it. But like I said, it's going to solve a problem for me. If I can make a bit of money by solving a problem, it just seems like good business.
Let me see. Yeah, I don't see any extraction equipment right now on my local. At least nothing that I need. What do you guys think about selling the larger volumes of honey?
I sell way more 3 kg tubs than I do anything else. Now, to the customers, not volume. I mean, with the
that's a half a gallon.
A
little more than a half a gallon.
So 3 kg would be about 2.
What in that the customer who buys that much honey? What do they do with that? Are they cooking with it or something?
They must be. So I've got a couple guys that they're on their 3rd or 4th bucket since last harvest season. So now I was going to say, customers buy more that way, off the shelf. I sell more honey by volume in the 5-gallon pail and 45-gallon drum than I do anything else here right now, just because one sale of a 5-gallon pail, well, that's 10 or 15 of those little 3 kg tubs, right?
Yeah, but are you cutting the price on that 5-gallon bucket?
No, my honey is once again, as Bob will say, my price per pound is fixed, and then I add the the pail or the bucket or the container or the jar and the label and everything like that on it on top of that afterwards.
So if you're selling a 5-gallon pail, that's $60. That'd be $600 plus the bucket here. So yep, $615.
Yeah, pretty close.
But then you can go online and buy it for $200 and something, but you don't know what you're getting either.
Correct.
I see Cutix Clover honey, $15 for 2 pounds, but it's in Wilmington, North Carolina. So how does that even? Where are they getting? They're buying the honey from Cutix and then bottling it and selling it out of zone.
Yeah, as local honey.
That's
well, here's one for you. My wife took this sign out of the window when I was in South Carolina.
Because she got tired of
she got
tired of selling it. That's funny. She's like, the proprietor is not here right now.
Yeah. But they said with the white truck is home. Yeah, but he's not. So
that's funny. That is funny. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see any major beekeeping stuff over here. But at any rate, we're coming on 11 o'clock here.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to bugger it off. I promised the wife I wouldn't be on here too long tonight. So thank you for everybody for helping me find the caps. I'll get some of those ordered up here right away.
What's it called? cap plugs.
Yep.
Actually, it's cap plugs, but it's CA plugs. It's not cap plugs. CA
Right.
plugs.
Yeah. Okay. Russell Copeland, James, would it help Bob to feed some pollen sub in September to keep his brood number up? Absolutely, I do. I feed pollen patties, stuff like that in the fall.
The only problem we have with doing that is hive beetles.
That's where I was going. I don't have that hive beetle problem, right? So,
but what I've learned very quickly is it's better for me to give a little bit more often than just put a slab of pollen sub on there.
There you go.
So the bees can do what they need to do with it quickly and not have to worry about it as much. But I don't even give them a half pound at this point. I just take a couple scoops with my hive tool out of the bucket and pop it on there and
there you
let it go.
Yeah, see, I throw 2 pounds of 2 1 pound pollen patties on my hive at a time and slap it in, away you go. My starter finisher, here's an idea for you. My starter finisher is going through 2 pounds of pollen patty, because I make sure they get it. They're all young bees. They're going through 2 pounds of pollen patties every 2.5 days.
A pound a day, or almost a little less than a pound a day. Wow.
Yeah. So
are they storing it in the frames, or are they consuming it?
Nope, it is nothing stored in the frames. So everything's out of there, and yeah. So
somebody tried to tell me that they will store a pollen patty, and I don't think you can.
Yeah, they will.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why I disagree, Charlie. So I've been told the same thing. However, last fall we had no pollen coming in anywhere, but so I started feeding them pollen patties, and the pollen started to increase on the frames. So, everybody keeps telling me they won't store it, but I compared the color. Now, somebody, I think it might have been Alex actually, that was trying to convince me to taste them both to see which one, see if they tasted the same, but they were the same color. It may have been a coincidence that maybe they were bringing something in and storing it the exact same way, but everything that I've been taught and everything I've read says that they won't. They'll just consume it and feed it directly. But I'm not 100% convinced of that yet.
I've seen them put those peppermint candies in the frame.
Oh, have you?
You can definitely tell it's bright white or bright red that they put in from, putting peppermints for hive beetles. I've seen them store that. But but they put it around the brood.
Oh yeah. So like I said, everything that I've read and everything I've been taught says yes, they won't store a pollen patty, but just from what I've seen, I'm not convinced that's 100% accurate. So
yeah, Mark Miller said he's put dry Ultra Bee in the comb and they mixed honey with it and used it.
Well, I've often thought about that. I've often thought about, filling pollen, dry pollen sub right into a drawn comb and dropping that in the hive.
I've seen people do it.
I don't know.
Matter of fact, who's the guy?
Michael Palmer.
Michael Palmer does it, or is it
not pollen sub, but actually real? Take pollen.
Who's the other guy? Not Michael Palmer. Kent? Is it Kent Williams? Kent? One of those guys. I've seen him. He does a lot of grafting, and if he doesn't have a pollen frame, he'll do that. He'll put dried pollen in it and shake it down in there and then hang it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's real pollen, not pollen sub.
Right. Well, I've got that, and that's what I kind of do right now is grind it all up and then feed it back to him in my starter finisher. But okay, anyways, guys, it's great talking to you tonight. Thank you for the help.
And, all right, James.
Have a good night, everyone.
We'll see you later, buddy.
Bye for now.
All right. So, it's 11 o'clock, and we've gone for, hour and 41 minutes. And, so there's a lot of things that, every time we get over one thing, we find something else we need to try to get past, right? So that's kind of what I've been working with. Probably, Charlie, you got things like that too, I'm sure.
Well, this year was a big experiment for me. trying to not go into the brood chamber and not have them swarm or any swarm cells by adding more supers. For me in my area, it didn't work. And I mean, I'm coming right out of winter in March. It's cold. And April, May, and June is normally our nectar season. And I've come to I had to readjust my plans this year. I mean, I did it with the supers. That didn't work. So I went back and I pulled the frames out, equalized the hives out again. And that's working. The way I am trying to push the bees down into the 2 boxes before I put the honey supers on, that's got to be reworked for next year. I watched my videos. I'm not
happy with the way it worked.
I'm not as gentle as I want to be with my bees. Now, of course, the bees this year were overflowing because of Apis biologic, as far as I'm concerned. And now I understand what the bees are going to be like by using that stuff. Number one, you got to not give a whole lot. If I've got
alternate feedings. Alternate feedings with Apis and not in the fall.
Well, I only gave them 4 gallons. That was 2 tankfuls. A tank goes across 30 some hives. And that's metering out the 10 framers at 2 gallons per hive. I only gave them Apis twice. That was 4 gallons, approximately 4 gallons. And that's the kind of response I had with it come springtime. So if now I know I can expect that kind of volume of bees.
And you won some, so you won't have to buy it from me.
Yeah.
Did you win the control or the activator?
Control, I think. Isn't that the one for the fluid?
For the fluid, yeah.
Yeah, the second one that they put out was for the
activator, yeah.
Yeah, they need to change the name, the names for that. Be more user-friendly name, recognizable.
Or put a sticker on it that says 4 pollen, 4 syrup.
Yeah.
Or liquid.
Or Apis biologic syrup enhancer. Yeah.
Right.
Or pollen enhancer. Or pollen sub enhancer.
I don't know anybody close by that has cells. I was getting them from Cutic before, but they've moved back to New York, so they
well, that's like today. I had 4 hives out there, 4 honey hives. They were queenless. One of them, the virgin didn't take. So I went back to my nukes that I had made up with queens, either virgin queens or whatever queens that I had that maybe I bought cage queens. Anyway, I dropped out of 3 out of the 4. I dropped nuke boxes with, took out that top medium and put a complete nuke in there, either 5 or 10 frames, depending on how big the nuke was, with a queen, and papered her in. And then there was one there that I was going to do the same, but it had swarm cells in there. I said, okay, I'm gonna let her go. Let them make their own. They had multiple cells.
Right.
So I'm gonna let that one go. And
Kent Williams does it. That's who it was.
Yeah, Kent and all. So hopefully all that'll take care of everything. And the way I look, I don't know, I got like 30 some supers on there and 25 or 30. Some of them are drawing wax, hopefully. But I can see that, bee population plays a tremendous importance when it comes to drawing wax and collecting honey. And especially the ones who are like, like the ones in the springtime, when if I had the volume of bees right now, man, I'd be in great shape. And another thing is I had issues with my queens this year, and they were the ones that I put my little, I have these extreme, I don't know whether you can see them or not.
Yeah. Okay.
Extreme sticky notes. There they are. And on there, I had marked yellow, marked the queen yellow, marked the queen yellow, so I could
Right.
find them. Well, guess what? Every one of them I marked, I had issues with the queen. And so I, and anyway, I had queen issues. So I don't think, next year, I ain't worried about marking the queens. What I will do is, and that was another experiment this year, was the demery or the modified demery, bringing that brood frame that's capped, not knowing where I'm going to place it at the point in time on, let's say, hive number 1, but maybe hive number 4 down the row is weak and I don't need some. But what I did was, I brought that brood frame up on top and made a secondary holding tank brood chamber, and
Right.
let the bees come up upstairs and cover that cap brood. So that works, and that alleviates, well, what am I going to do with this? That stressor where you're right in the middle of things. You got all these bees and everything. And then I think I'm going to do like what James suggested, was come springtime, I will take off the top brood chamber, leave the other 2 alone, try to shake off all the bees into that 2 bottom box, put a queen excluder on, and I'm going to put 2 honey supers on, at least if the volume of bees are like that, and then put that brood box up on top. And that way it'll draw all the bees upstairs into the honey boxes and into that brood chamber upstairs, depending, I don't know, who knows what it's going to be in there.
Right.
And even though it has, let's say, eggs or something, at that point in time, I don't really care. What I'll do is go back, hopefully a day later. If it's, let's say I do it on a Saturday afternoon, I'll go back the next day if the weather's good, and I'll tear that hive back down, and the majority of the bees are going to be up in those supers. So then I don't have to shake them bees. I've got them confined to those boxes, and then I can go into the bottom box and check out how much brood is down in there and manipulate that, and and reassess where you put the empty comb in and that kind of thing. So that's my plan for next year. Kind of just tweak it more, which fits me. Now, like James talked about, you putting everything in 10 frame. Well, I do it, and I know you can do it, especially in your weather conditions. You can get a 5 frame box through the winter easily. If not, and for me, it's always a 5/5 if it's 2 beeps, or it's 3 mediums. It'll be 3 mediums. And I know you can do that easily in your area because you don't really have any winter.
Well, once in a while. Once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, you got some cold days there, but another thing is for me, I keep the wind off of them as far as my nukes go, because that's why I have that building there. That's
Right.
why I placed my nuke boxes where I did, because of the building, because it's a windbreak, and I know which way the wind goes. Because those hives behind me there, I put a carpet around them because I know the wind blows from the log pile there over that way. So, and all that, and and it's I've learned that everybody has different ways, but I think a lot of it is depending where you live at, what your conditions are, whether it be the flow, the time of the year, that kind of thing, the weather conditions, especially. And you have to take a lot of information from everybody, but you got to manipulate it to where it works for you. And
Right.
that's kind of where I'm at. And, so, like I say, the poplar trees are growing right now. or putting out nectar. So I got I'm figuring another month at the most, and that's it. Another 4 weeks, something like that, 3 to 4 weeks.
I see people right up the road pulling hella honey right now. So
Pull what?
pulling a lot of honey.
Oh yeah.
Let's see where they're at. Timmonsville. They're pulling a ton of it right now. So at least, so I don't know how many colonies are running or anything, but they had a couple pallets worth of boxes sitting there. So that's a good thing. But, you know, it's a big difference when you start with good, strong colonies, right? Coming into spring. And I had to build mine back to that point. So we're just going to take what we get as a blessing and move on from there, you know?
Yeah. Ziggy's like, I agree with Z. You know, what works for, me may not work for somebody else, but there might be there's always these little tips and tricks and stuff that help. You might be able to take that tip or that trick and apply it to where you're located at or your style of beekeeping and stuff like that.
All right. Well, hey guys, we're going to go ahead and call it for this evening. Let me see. I heard that red ink or marking pen, that red has a pigment that's not good to apply. I haven't, Robin Hood. At least not with the pen set that that we've been selling. That competitive advantage is supposed to be Be Safe. So
I don't know. I mean, the queens that I marked were yellow with a Posco pen, and I mean, I have them in a regular marking cage, and I sit there and do a little circle. I didn't over dub them like Bruce did down there in Bruce's Bee, where they gave him a racing stripe big time or anything like that. And I don't know. It's just and another thing is like you say that like with Brad up there, know how old your queens are, and that is one of the things that I already know. That I've already plugged in quite a few of the queens this year that I'm going to go down and get some numbers and number my hives, and then take notes in I have my cell phone, which has a program called Color Notes where you can dictate to it. And I'm going to keep track on that probably, and maybe on the computer here, and I know exactly how old a queen is, type of thing, which I think that's very important.
Well, the only reason, I mean, one of the reasons to mark is that when you've gone back in if she's been superseded or not.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, guys, we're going to call it for this evening. And, Tuesday night, I believe, is on my channel this week because I think we were on Lee's channel last week. So, should be another good conversation like we always have. And, Charlie's on Friday nights. You going to be up for this Friday?
Oh, yeah.
Point? All right. Well, we never know what the week will bring, but that's what we're working on.
Yeah. After today, after redoing the queen issues, problems and stuff, I'm looking at flow and stuff like that. I think I'm good for now. I think I don't really need to mess with these hives anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. The messing that I'm doing is basically going in and cherry picking frames out, right? That's kind of what I've been doing. Yeah. And I know
I got all the supers on, and if they got supers where they can draw it out, wider wax and all this other stuff, and they've got foundation they can draw out, and I'm like, okay, I've done all I can do. So I'm thinking I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to let the queens do their thing and let it go at that.
That's kind of what I'm doing. I've got
I just got to watch my nukes. The nukes are growing, even though the queens have only been in there for about a week.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Some of them are slow, and some of them are just.
I'm watching my nukes more carefully than I am my big colonies.
Oh yeah.
And
all right. Well, you want to?
I want to know how that Vivor extractor works.
I guess.
Some people have, it works pretty. I mean, for the price of it, it just depends, right? So if back to what we were talking about earlier before we hop off here, is it's a good entry level extractor. If you are looking to grow and grow and grow, then I would recommend just sucking it up and buying one that you can grow into.
Get a 20 frame license.
Everybody's different financially. I get it. So just do what you can do, man. That's the best, I guess the best thing I could say. So at any rate, guys, I'm going to stop the broadcast for tonight, and we'll see y'all Tuesday night. Talk to you later. Good night.
See ya. Bye.